And so I think what's going to happen is, as this issue becomes more and more addressed, a bigger concern in our legal, our justice, our government, we're going to start to find that these missing children from Terre Haute, although they might not be trafficked in here in Terre Haute, maybe they're in Toledo, maybe they're in New York, maybe they'll be in Dallas. And so that's how we kind of find that pattern. Teresa Flores talked about 105 missing children from Toledo have been rescued. And none of them were in Toledo. They were all around the country. Okay. And so to say that it isn't an issue that affects pretty much every corner of this world, that's something that we need to change. We need to change that dialogue. We need to change, the face of what human trafficking is. And I think that that's kind of the beginning of this, is a lot of times we do think that it's a problem over there. It's that problem for that really big city, halfway across the country. And that's just not the reality. It touches every aspect of the globe. And it definitely touches every aspect of the United States. Learn about the issue. Look at who the victims are. And then stop and say, do we have people that meet those criteria here in our community? And what I'm going to guarantee you're going to find is yes. Yes. And so kind of looking at it from that aspect, and not to say that there isn't a young person being trafficked out on our streets. We obviously don't really see that here in Terre Haute. But that doesn't mean that they're not being trafficked in a larger city. That doesn't mean that they're not being trafficked halfway across the world. And it doesn't mean that they're not being trafficked in homes here. Teresa Flores came from a very affluent neighborhood family. She was taken to huge, expensive homes and trafficked in these people's houses. And so we really need to change what we think of the face of what sex trafficking looks like. It's not prostitution when it involves a child. And that's a part of the dialogue that we really need to change, is not to call these child prostitutes. They're not. They're human trafficking, sex trafficking victims who, when we are able to rescue them, have the space to become survivors of a really horrific crime against humanity. And so kind of taking it that way, and learning about the issue and looking at the people that this is affecting, and then looking at your community and saying, hey, are there people here like that in our community? Is there something I could do? Is there any place where I could stop that? Schools, hospitals, after school programs. Those are the places we need to start looking, and to make sure that our children here in our area don't become victims of human and sex trafficking.